Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, a very special thank you. This evening is a very special evening. A friend of mine from Toronto, Canada, Carlos Morgan. Many of you might have heard of him. He's an R&B singer and so on. Is here with us tonight. But before I introduce you to Carlos, I want to talk to you a bit about the importance of belief and momentum. And when I think about belief and momentum, and what comes to mind are the many people who have had ideas and believe in them. And today, we are the recipient of many of these ideas coming to fruition. The technology we use today, this particular medium through which you are looking at me tonight, and many other ideas. And I'm always encouraging people to believe in themselves. And just before I started the program, I was thinking about a Boeing 747, about over 987,000 pounds, racing down a runway, gathering speed, and the pilot must believe that this plane will fly, and it continues to run, and as it gathers speed and gets to its maximum, the law of lift says to the law of gravity, it's okay, I'll take over. And that plane, big as it is, lifts off. But what keeps it going is momentum. I know this analogy is kind of vivid, but it's important for me to make this analogy that it is important that once you start something, you gather momentum, or else it will stop, it will drop. The other day, a friend of mine and I were talking about the importance of the first step. And I've written extensively on this before, that is the first step may be important, but what is critical is the next step. Because the next step never ends until you get to your destination. And so this plane, let's go back to this example, flying at terrific speed to stay afloat. When it's ready to descend, the law of lift surrenders to the law of gravity, and that plane descends. And so what we have here are two forces, very powerful, working in cohesion with each other, one surrendering to the other. And so we have lift and we have success. And the point I'm making here tonight is that believe in your idea, and once you make the first step, make the next step. And to those of you who are tuning in for the first time, a little bit about CWS. CWS is about having conversations with people about their journeys and how are they using their gifts and talents to help others. How are they contributing to humanity in a positive way? And so I'm always looking for people who are doing extraordinary things because I am interested in stories. Not only your successes, but how you overcome your challenges. Because to me, there is no success without a challenge. But why I'm so interested in challenges is because they're quite a diverse group of people that tune into CWS, but especially our youths, who are constantly looking for some form of leadership, advice, mentorship. And imagine you're talking about your success and mention a challenge and how you might have overcome it. And there's a young person somewhere in the world listening to you. You don't know who that person is. And being inspired to overcome their challenge or to step beyond their limitation, you might have without knowing, and you may never know. And to me, that's the real essence of humanity, of giving without expectations, is to give without knowing the end result of your gift. Imagine that child one day becoming the next geneticist or oncologist or someone who might stop a genocide. And with that, I'll take a break. When I return, I'll introduce you to my friend Carlos Morgan.
you call for me, I want to be there. Oh, could you take me by the hand, baby? Whenever you need a shoulder to cry on, you better know I'll be there. 'Cause I'm gonna be your man. Yes, I am. You're my sweet rose of Sharon, my sunny skies and my rainy days. Everything you do, girl, is so amazing. I love you, baby. You emanate so much beauty. It's super virgins through. Your love is like a clarion, brilliant and clearly true. Yes, super. Give me strength to keep going on. You keep me going on, feeling alright.
Silly.
I do for you. I love you, my whole life long. Oh, feeling alright, pretty baby.
I bring it down as I come through your sound. You know that I be coming around. You the girl I found. Make this G be going round, and that's I'm feeling.
Oh, yeah. It was an average day, dull in every way until the sun broke through. It wasn't in the sky, no. The light came from her eyes. She turned the gray sky blue. On that cool September morning, I saw her in the rain. To me, she was a movie star to the world. She was just Jane, yeah, but she's everything to me. She's just Jane, and she's all I'll ever need. She gives more than she takes, and she takes my breath away. Oh yeah, in the world's eyes, she'll always be just Jane. But because of her, my world has changed. Yes, it has. I tried to catch her eye as she was walking by first. At first she seemed confused. I saw she wasn't sure. My smile was meant for her. I said, I can't help notice you. And when you find that someone special, you don't let them slip away. So tell me what your name is. She answered by saying just Jane. Oh, 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 and she's all I'll ever need. She gives more than she takes, and she takes my breath away. In the world's eyes, she'll always be just Jane. But because of her, my world has changed. Oh, she might seem ordinary, but she was hard to find. What makes Jane rare and precious is her love, and her love's just mine. Oh, she's just Jane, and she's all I'll ever need. She gives more than she takes, and she takes my breath away. But Jane means so much more to me. My
we are back. My name is Selwyn Collins of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The gentleman next to me is no other than Carlos Morgan. Carlos, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Selwyn. How you doing?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, man. It's good to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you. Actually,
Thank you.
I want to start off with just snippets from your bio, just to give our
Okay.
audience an idea of who you are and why you're here tonight. Carlos Morgan is a talented singer, songwriter, and producer. He has written and produced songs along with producers including Craig McConnell, Peter Natali, Colin Monroe, Tyson Kutei. Is that a correct pronunciation?
Kate, yeah, Tyson Kate, yes.
Kotei, okay. Carlos was honored at the Juno Awards for the Best R&B Soul Recording, equivalent to the Grammys. Much Music Video Award for Best R&B Soul Video, equivalent to the MTV Video Awards. 2 Canadian Urban Music Awards, equivalent to the Soul Train Awards, and other numerous awards. Morgan was also the second ever recipient to the SOCAN Urban Music Award for both talent and pioneering efforts to bring notoriety to the many gifted urban music artists in Canada. In 2002, Morgan had the repeated distinction to be included in the Canadian Who's Who, Canada's oldest and most complete Who's Who publication. Those included are selected based on merit alone, judged on the contribution they have made to life in Canada. And this was by Elizabeth Lumley, the editor. In 2013, Morgan won first place for the John Lennon Got to Love You songwriting contest with guest judge Sean Paul. I think I'm going to stop there and just get right into it. We have a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Carlos, welcome to CWS.
Thank you for having me, Selwyn. I'm really happy to be here, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation and to everybody out there who's tuning in and listening. I'm looking forward to talking and sharing.
I'm glad to hear that, and congratulations for winning the first place for the John Lennon Got to Love You songwriting contest. You're no stranger to awards, by what I just read, and winning contests. What was different about this one, the John Lennon Award?
What was different about the John Lennon Award?
Yes.
Well, John Lennon, as we all know, or most of us know or should know, is that John Lennon was a visionary, and his songs, talked about love and peace, and very prolific, in-depth songwriter. So being honored or winning first place for this award, actually the contest was of writing a song for Valentine's. It was a love song. They were having a songwriting competition around Valentine's. So I actually submitted one of the songs from the compilation, which is Sweet As You Are. And, I won first place, and the guest judge, from what they said, was Sean Paul. So, when I won the award, and the prizes that came along with it, that for me was that was big.
Can you tell us a little bit about your personal background and where you came from?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, to Jamaican parents. and I grew up singing in church. Started singing in church when I was 7. My first performance was when I was 7, and the song I sang was Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages, cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. So I grew up singing in church, loved it, and then when I was 12, I joined, I was the lead singer for a band called the Pape Avenue Brass Band. The name of the church I was attending was the Church of God of Prophecy, which is, worldwide. It's a Pentecostal church worldwide. And so I was the youngest, and I was youngest member of the band and the only singer in the band. And there was about maybe 12 to 15 of us. and mainly was a horn band. We had a rhythm section, horns, and then I was the singer. And I was with them for 5 years, from the ages of 12 to 17. And then when I was 16, I started singing in clubs. So between 16 and 17, I was singing in church and singing in the world. And then I stopped singing in church altogether around 17, close to 18. And then I got into doing theater around my late teens, early 20s. I was in an off-Broadway play called Mama, I Want to Sing. At the time, Deborah Cox, who was also from Toronto, Canada, she was the main character in the show. That was for about a year. And then I sang lead for different bands, for different clubs. And then I moved to New York. I was in New York for a year in the early 90s. I was living in Montreal for a year in the early 90s. And then I came back to Toronto in 1992 and started pursuing a recording career. Meanwhile, still performing in clubs and singing anywhere and everywhere I can. Any opportunity I got, every opportunity I got, I took to sing. And I hustled, and then traveled back and forth to the States.
Well, let me ask you this before you continue. And I just want to go back in your timeline a little bit.
Okay.
Much. What is the fondest memory you have of your parents as a child?
What's the fondest memory of my parents?
Yes, when you were a child.
Ooh. That's a tricky question. Well, the fondest memory I have of my parents, more my dad, because my mom was extremely reserved. My father used to play a lot of music around the house growing up. And, I grew up listening to a lot of reggae, mostly reggae, and R&B and gospel, but predominantly reggae. Bob Marley, Gregory Isaac, John Holt, Derek Morgan, Carl Carlton, singers that my father grew up listening to. And almost every day, definitely every weekend, music was playing in our house. And my father and I shared a connection. I actually wrote a song about it called Feel Good Music. I'm going to be recording for my new album. And the bond that my father and I had was anytime my father would start to play music, he would call me and say, Carlos, can you put the music on? And every song that I put on, he'd come and say, man, how you know them tune, yeah, and how you guys, and I go on so, and I do them this and sometimes he'd be dancing. My father was a great dancer. So sometimes he would dance, or he'd dance with me, or he'd dance with my brother and my sister and I, and I would feel really proud that when I played music that my father loved, and the more that I played music and singing along with the music and dancing, and I love to dance too, that is one of the fondest memories I have of my father and I, the bond that we have when it came to music. And my father was actually a singer. He actually sang in church more when he came to Canada in the late 60s. And then he stopped for a while, but my father used to get myself, my older brother and sister to sing. So he would sing the lead, and then my brother, sister, and I, we would do the background harmonies. And that's how I started to learn about harmony as well. I developed my intrinsic knowledge of or skill of harmony.
I had a question for you about how your experiences influence your music, but I'm going to switch it a little bit. Since you've told me so much about your dad and the music and the dancing, how would you say your experiences growing up have influenced your music style or your music preference?
My personal experience?
Yeah, your experiences growing up. your dad, you said, danced with you. You played a lot of music with him. Your brother and sister, you guys sang along with whilst your dad was playing music. But you have a certain music style now.
Yes.
How would you say those experiences influenced that?
Wow, that's a good question. Somewhat in depth too. How do I answer this? My personal experiences or my childhood experiences, how they affect myself how they affect my skills or how I write songs or how I approach a song based on my life experiences, especially as a child. Unfortunately, predominantly, I comes from a lot of painful experiences. And I have on each album, except this latest one, the compilation, I actually write a song about my childhood and the experiences I had as a child and how they've affected me as a man. Okay. On my first album, there's a song called "What I've Done to You," that is somewhat it's a semi-autobiographical song. And each album following, I'm going to be writing a song about how my childhood has affected me as a man and how they've affected my relationships, how they've affected me or how I am as a person in the world, and the struggles that I've had in life. So they've been predominantly around. And when I write songs, because I love R&B and gospel so much, I grew up singing gospel and I grew up singing R&B, so they're just intrinsically, innately a part of who I am, those specific genres of music. But I love jazz, I love hip hop, I love reggae. In the past 15 years, I love country, I love classic rock, I love classical, but I'm an R&B, soul, gospel guy. And so when I approach a song, of course I approach from R&B, soul, gospel background. But when I'm writing lyrics or I'm writing something that if I reflect back on my life and things that I'm feeling and things that I'm trying to work through or let go, writing about my personal history is very cathartic for me. And hopefully it gives people an insight into the kind of person that I am and things that I've been through and struggles that I have or things that I'm still working through in my own life.
Is this why that statement on your ad, and I'm going to just put it on the screen for a bit, a journey best described in my music, resonated so well with you?
Yes. When you said that to me, it was like it permeated right through me. I felt it like, wow, like every fiber in my being just came alive because that was such a profound way how you said it, how you described it was, it was like, wow, it was powerful. So thank you for that. I'm going to be using that.
You're welcome, my brother, anytime. Your debut album, Feeling All Right, became one of Canada's hottest selling indie albums of 1996-97, topping the charts at number 3.
Yes.
Can you describe for us what are some of the inspirations and influences that played a part in creating that particular album?
Well, when we were creating the album, writing and producing the album, we were listening to a lot of Blackstreet and Guy. I'll give you one example. When we were writing Baby Come On, we were in the studio, and we had just about a year or two, I think in 1995, Guy had released a single called Tell Me What You Like. It was on the New York Undercover. There was a TV show in the 90s called New York Undercover. And I think he's a Mekhi Phifer. Mekhi Phifer? What? I can't remember his name.
Mekhi Phifer, yeah.
Yes. He was one of the main characters on the TV show. And so they had a soundtrack. They made a soundtrack to the show. And that song, Tell Me What You Like, Baby, What You Want, Baby. that Aaron Hall sound. And we were in the studio, we're listening to the song, and then we put it aside. And then the guys I was writing the album with, because I wrote the album mostly with the producers, the executive producers, and the record label owners. I wrote most of the album with them. And it was myself, the two producers, and a DJ. We were in the studio and we were playing just the instrumental of Baby Come On. And I was sitting there and we were all talking, and all of a sudden, boom, the chorus came out of my mouth. I want to rock on to the break of dawn, baby, come on. And each song, Give It To You, Feeling All Right, was primarily influenced by the New Jack sound and style that was so prevalent in the 90s. Big up to Teddy Riley, creating the New Jack swing sound. And so that sound and Teddy Riley really played a big part and a big role in how we approached Feeling All Right. And also Black Street. And then I loved, at the time, I loved Charlie Wilson, Aaron Hall. So I was trying to, when I was approaching the songs vocally, I was trying to approach it like as close to or as similar to how they would, except songs like the original version of Forever For You, Never Get Over You, those ballads. I wanted to approach those more like a Luther Vandross style over New Jack Swing urban vibe. So,
one more question before I go to the chat room, because I see
Yes.
it's lighting up, right?
Okay.
Was it around that time, 1996, 1997, that you started singing professionally, and how did you get introduced to the professional music scene?
Well, I started singing professionally in 1989.
Wow.
I started singing professionally when I joined a band called Something Extra, a local band. They were originally from Montreal, Quebec, but then moved here, and I joined the band. They were together since I think the 70s, and then they moved here in Toronto, I think in the 70s or early 80s, and then I joined them in the late 80s, and then I was the lead singer for the club Blue Note, and they had a lot of celebrities. I actually did a private concert for Luther Vandross there, and him, rest in peace, Luther. We talked for about 5 to 10 minutes. That was one of the highlights, not only of my career, but of my life. Luther Vandross pulling me aside and him and I having a conversation about my career and him encouraging me to keep going. I performed with the Temptations. I performed with Anne Murray, and another Canadian iconic singer. And so from 1989, I started singing professionally in clubs. Then, as I said, I moved to New York, and I was the lead singer for a band from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but we were based in New York. In 1991, in 1990, I was living in Montreal, lead singing for a band originally from New York. So from 1989 up until now, I've been a full-time singing musician, and dancing and doing my thing.
Let me go to the chat room.
Okay.
Okay, Patrick said that was a brilliant intro. Thanks, Patrick. Dorothy, any plans to record and see if you can keep this a little short. We got a lot of questions. Any plans to record a gospel album?
Oh, man. I want to record a gospel album, but what I want to do is I want to record a gospel album, a contemporary gospel album of hymns.
Oh.
Now, when I was growing up singing in church as a child, I'll speak for myself. You hear the hymns all the time, Amazing Grace, Whispering Hope, and, the old Rugged Cross and things like that. I was like, oh, please. But as I've gotten older and mature, I love the hymns. So what I would love to do is record a contemporary gospel album of hymns.
Wonderful.
And make them, give it that contemporary sound. But yeah, I would love to record a gospel album. I want to record a gospel album. I want to record a duet album, and I want to record a jazz album.
Sandy said, you are a wonderful singer, performer, and person. My favorite song of yours is Sweet As You Are. Then Dorothy asked, does Selwyn access to provide listeners? Does Selwyn access the chat room to provide listeners feedback? G said, yeah. Yes, Dorothy, I do. And Dorothy said, definitely Aaron Hall, Teddy Riley influenced. And Dorothy asked, Kinky Fox,
Kinky Fox!
Okay. And Dorothy again said, performed for the late, great Oscar Peterson.
Yes. Now, I want to say something about Dorothy. Dorothy Clark. She is an amazing vocalist. Despite what she may think or say about herself, that girl can sing.
Is that so?
I met her in 1992 for an Oscar Peterson tribute, and she killed it. And then on the weekend, I was singing for a gospel concert in Montreal, and she was one of the guest performers, and she smashed it.
Congratulations, Dorothy. And
yes.
DSACCB asked, how did you transition from Let Me Hide Myself in Thee to As Sweet As You Are and other ballads? Do you perform or have you completed any gospel recordings?
Well, this next album I'm recording is called Shades of Me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a gospel song called God's Love Is Everywhere, which is going to be featuring 3 female gospel singers from Toronto. Their names are Nicole Sinclair, Amoy Levy, Sharon Riley, and Faith Corral. And God willing, I would love to record a gospel song on every album that I do from here on out.
Wonderful.
But again, definitely, I definitely want to record a full gospel hymn album. That for me is my foundation. When I sing gospel as opposed to singing to R&B, it's totally the energy, the feeling, the depth, the spirit, everything is just completely different. Singing for God is on a whole other level. Can't compare. There's no comparison.
In September,
so sometimes I ask myself, what am I doing singing this R&B stuff?
Carlos, in September 2012, you released compilation, right, with songs produced by you and other producers. Tell us about this album and what it means to you.
Okay, the compilation is a introduction and reintroduction to the world. My introduction or reintroduction to the world, because after feeling all right, I went through an enormous amount of challenges, both professionally and personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped recording for about 2 years. And from early 2000 to about 2007, I was performing a lot, doing some recordings. I was recording, still writing, always saying I'm going to come back out, release another record, but I was not ready. When I decided to now put out the compilation, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna put a bunch of songs together that I've recorded, put them out, so people who haven't heard me in a long time and people who have never heard of me at all, this will be my way of saying, hey, my name is Carlos Morgan. I'm here. This is my first time. Nice to meet you. Or I'm back, and I'm going to be coming back with some new music in the future. So I'm really happy that the response. I'm really grateful that the response has been positive so far. There's still a lot of work for me to do in terms of promoting this album, and some of the singles on this album. There's still some work for me to do. In the meantime, I'm starting to record my new album, but songs like Just Jane and Sweet As You Are, those two songs, especially for me, hold a lot of meaning and they hold a lot of meaning for me.
Carlos, I can tell you're very passionate about your music, and I want to examine something you said just now. There was a period of time when, if you allow me to use this word, because you were talking about gospel and so on, so I'm going to borrow a word from that arena. When you fasted, per se, 2 years, you were dealing with some personal stuff and so on, and you said at the end of it, I wasn't ready. Now, for someone who sang a lot or sings a lot and very passionate about music and always ready to go, what was that like for you? Was it discipline that held you back? Discipline, recognizing that you weren't ready. What was that? What were you present to when you told yourself or were telling yourself, look, I'm not ready right now. I gotta work at this, or whatever it is you did before you came back on. What were you present to at the time? Not your personal stuff, but I just want to understand someone like you who is so passionate and so confident. What made you decide that you weren't ready? What was telling you that you weren't ready?
Oh man. Wow. What was telling me I wasn't ready? Well, my personal life was in a shambles.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not move forward professionally until I started to address what was going on with me personally. Because if I came out at the time with new music personally,
mm-hmm.
when my personal life was a mess, I think I would have done a lot more damage to my professional career than I already had at the time. I had done some damage to my career, which I'm still to this day working through.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace of God and mercy of God, and being humble, because I strongly believe in humility. Though, people I've heard comments, people say that I think that I'm all cocky and I'm all that, but they don't know me. Those people do not know me. So if I put out music at the time that I was not ready personally, I would have. So because I wasn't personally, my life personally was not, I was going through a lot of emotional and mental turmoil and dealing with a lot of wounds, childhood wounds, relationship wounds.
And Carlos, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that, because what I was, man, this was so profound. What I got from you is discipline. I got from you humility. I got from you courage. And thanks for sharing that, especially for young people listening into this. Here's a brother who is successful, who has tasted success and no success, but had the courage and the humility to step back or to pause. And nothing is wrong at pausing when you realize that you're really not ready to make the next step. Thanks a lot for that. I want to go to the chat room again.
Okay.
Sandy asked, any plans to perform live in a church in the future?
Any plans to perform in church in the future?
Yes, live.
Live. If the opportunity presents itself, I am so there.
Okay.
When I was asked to perform just on the weekend, any opportunity I get or any time I'm asked to perform at church or in church or sing gospel, I'm taking that. I'm going for it.
Okay.
So there's nothing scheduled right now, but again, if something happens, I'll be there.
And Dorothy said it's about you, Carlos. And Dorothy said again, Sharon Riley, Faith Corral, I hope I'm pronouncing Corral correctly, is awesome. Amoy Levy is a sick singer.
Yep.
It would be an awesome collaboration. And Dorothy said again, in darkness comes the greatest appreciation for light. Walk in your light, Carlos. And,
Tell her, thank you, Dorothy. Thank
and
you.
Patrick asked, Carlos, I'm going to ask you something because I have so many questions for you. And there's so
Okay.
much I want to get out of you. If you can keep some of these answers just a little short. Right?
Okay, I'll try.
Just a little. Okay. Patrick asks, which singer had the biggest impact on you and why?
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie. Why
Well,
was that?
it's a combination between Stevie Wonder and Luther Vandross.
Wow.
Stevie Wonder because of his range, his embellishments, his tone. Luther because, yes, of his tone. Man, that brother is smooth, like,
I'm going to ask you this and then we'll take a break.
Okay.
What's your favorite food, book, music, and movie?
What's my favorite food?
Book, music, and movie.
Okay. My favorite food is yard food.
Okay.
Most Nam Jamaican food, you hear me? Anybody out there know say, me love me yard food. See? My favorite book is the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite book. My favorite movie, I have so many, but one movie that now I watch it now and I'll laugh my head off, but Purple Rain by Prince.
Okay. And music. Favorite music?
My favorite music,
Yes.
R&B and gospel.
R&B and gospel. Okay, let's take a break.
Okay.
I'm sitting in my bedroom. I'm thinking of the times that you and I shared, baby. Yeah. I'm fantasizing of your love and your touch. Oh, girl, I love you so much. Oh, girl, yeah. All right. You put a song in my heart, a smile on my face every time I'm with you, baby. Yes, you do, honey. Oh, yeah. I don't wanna love nobody else. I wanna share my life with you. You're an angel from the heavens. You make my dreams come true. Yes, you are. All my dreams, you give me strength. You give me strength. I'm feeling alright. You make me feel so right, girl. Everything I do for you. I'm gonna love you my whole life long. My whole life long. I'm feeling alright, yeah. Feeling alright, yeah. Feeling alright. I can never resist you when you call for me. I want to be there, yeah. Oh, could you take me by the hand, baby? Whenever you need a shoulder to cry on, you better know I'll be there. 'Cause I'm gonna be your man. Yes, I am. You're my sweet rose of Sharon, my sunny skies and my rainy days. Everything you do, girl, is so amazing. Baby, I love your way. You emanate so much beauty. Exuberance burgeons through. Your love is like a clarion. Really.
We are back. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Carlos,
Yes.
you've lived in Toronto, Montreal, New York. What is uniquely different about living in New York compared to the
Well,
others?
when I was living in when I first went to New York in 1991, I was terrified because Toronto is like a baby compared to New York. So I was in New York City. I had to leave, so I moved to a little town. I can't remember the name. About 20 to 30 minutes outside of Albany, where it was quiet. But then I went to New York in 3 years ago. I was there for about 3 days. And when I was there, I kept asking myself, why did I move back to Toronto? Because I was a lot older at the time, more mature. When I went to New York, I was in my early 20s and I was still naive and inexperienced to life. So, and I wasn't warned about how New York was at that time. So going back 3 years ago and how vibrant and alive and the intensity of New York City, and it's just constant music. I sang, I was there to do a showcase in Harlem, which was successful. And then the same night, me and the band that I was in New York with, we went to I think it was the Velvet Underground.
Oh, that's a long time ago. Okay.
And I got a lesson. I performed, but hearing those singers, oh my God, I got a lesson that night in singing and musicianship. New York for me, I love that city.
Let me ask you this.
I definitely want to go back.
Let me ask you this next question then. Have you ever not feel like performing on stage?
Have I ever not been performing?
No. Have you ever not feel like performing on stage?
Oh, well, there are many times. Well, there are many times where I'll be, say, emotionally or mentally, spiritually exhausted or depressed, or I'm hurting over something. But I get on stage, and it's something I heard Tina Turner say a few weeks ago. I was watching an interview Tina Turner was doing with Oprah Winfrey, and she said something that I completely related to. Before you're on stage, you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't feel like it, your voice is tired, just don't have the energy, something may be going on in your personal life. There have been many times where I've been in excruciating pain, like I'm sick. And I go on stage, and it's something turns on, something, and you just go. So there are many times where I feel like I just don't feel like doing this tonight. I just don't have it. But I get on stage, and that feeling is gone for however long I'm on stage, the 45 minutes, hour, an hour and a half. It's gone.
There's a similar question in the chat room, and I'm only going to I'm asking it because it relates to what I just asked you.
Okay.
Rick, R.I.K., asked, has there ever been a time when you lost your spirit to sing?
Yes, there was.
Okay. All right, that's enough. I mean, that's good. That's good. Compared to other popular R&B singers, what is different in your approach to music?
I don't know if there's anything different per se.
Yeah.
I think what makes me different is because the songs that I'm writing, and I can sing them, I'm singing them the way that I'm singing them something that's from somewhere that comes from within me. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It reminds me. I want to go to the chat room after this point. It reminds me of something Patti LaBelle said on when she was being given an award. Was it an award? No. I think she was being interviewed by Oprah, and she said something about about singing a particular song. She says, I don't know if she was if she were exaggerating as in the number of times, but she said
Right.
she has sung the song thousands of times, but every time she sang it differently because she improvised.
Right.
Right? She sing it because she sings it her way. Is that what it's like for you? You sing your way, so is that what you're trying to say, or what you're
I
saying?
think, yeah,
Okay.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with that. Yeah, because if I were to sing, like I sing a lot of cover songs,
Uh huh.
and I try to interpret them, perform them the way I would perform them, or sing them the way I sing them. You know what I'm saying? So when I write my songs, I'm approaching them the way that it's coming from within me, because the songs are coming from within me or from my personal experiences, as every other writer does. Every other singer who writes their own songs, perform and records their songs, they're gonna interpret the song the way they intrinsically or innately comes from within who they are as that person, right?
And to keep my word, I'm going into the chat room.
Okay.
DSACCB said, you mentioned your love for the spirit of gospel music, referencing age-old gospel standards. What's your view on IMO, seemingly contemporary gospel, that is, Smokey Norfolk, Marvin Sapp, et al.?
Wow. Smokey Norfolk, Marvin Sapp, Jay Moss. The list goes on of these incredible male and female, Kim Burrell, Yolanda Adams, Leandra Johnson. The list goes on and on and on. Man, they scare me because those gospel singers, I learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to really learn how to sing and interpret music, I listen to more gospel singers now than I used to. I used to listen to a lot of R&B, but now I'm totally gospel. For me, those singers are my teachers.
Joanne said, I love the compilation CD, every single song. You give it your all. I'm a fan.
Thank you, Joanne.
I'm a fan, 100%. I can't wait to see what you're going to give us in the future. God bless you. And Joanne said again, I love the questions. Wow, the variety and genius really gives an insight to not only the singer, but the man Carlos Morgan is. Bravo. And then Isabel said, sometimes it's when we are the most tired that we do our best performances. And Carlos, I want to ask you this. Do you always have a clear vision of what you want the song to evolve into? Or do you allow the creative process to happen without a particular plan?
I allow the creative process.
Wonderful.
For the most part. Like I'll have a basic idea of what I want to do, but how I want the drums and the bass to go. I know I want the drums to go, and I know how I want the bass to go. All the chord progressions or the arrangements on top, that's just going. I'm just going along with whatever comes, whatever I hear. I'm working with my producer, engineer. Then we're building the song as we're going along. So I don't always have a clear vision how I want musically or the arrangements to go until I'm in the studio. Vocally, I'll know better.
Okay.
Vocally, I know what I want to do. And I'm very hard on myself vocally. For example, it will take me almost 3 months to record one lead vocal because I'm so hard on myself when it comes to recording my lead vocals.
I want to try something. I'm going to go rapid fire, which means I'm going to ask you to answer as fast as possible.
Okay.
Or short as possible, sorry. Only because there are some questions here that I want to ask you so that our audience could have a more multidimensional perspective of who you are as a person, right? And as a performer and singer. And I also I'm going to try something here tonight. I want you to perform something for us. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, let me ask some of these questions first, right? And as quick as possible. Who are some female vocalists you admire?
Female vocalists I admire. Gladys Knight. Brandy. Kim Burrell, as I said, Yolanda Adams, Jasmine Sullivan, Coco Clemens, lead singer of SWV, Faith Evans, Kelly Price.
What is the best distinguished feature about your live shows?
My energy.
Okay.
I love being on stage. I love performing. So, and the thing about me is I do not like to stop between songs. So I like to keep the momentum going, keep the groove going. I love engaging. So my energy, I give and give.
Is there a particular composer you enjoy working with, and why?
No. I enjoy writing. I enjoy working with any and everybody. I'm open to working with any and everybody. I don't really have a favorite. For the last 6 months, I've been writing a lot on my own, and I'm really pleased with what I'm coming up with. But if I have opportunities to write with other people and collaborate with other people, I'll take the opportunity. So to me, everybody's my favorite because I'm learning. I'm still learning.
How do you balance all the demands of music with family, friends, and play or leisure?
When I get the opportunity to relax and spend time with friends and just cool out, I'll take it. But for me, because I'm doing 98%, 99% of this on my own, I'm just constantly grinding, especially now, because I have a goal in the next 4 years. Because I just don't want to be a singer, songwriter, producer. There are other things that I want to do.
Okay. I listened to Forever for You.
Yes.
When my friend Ray McMillan sent it to me, and I loved it. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm thanking Raymond.
Yes, Ray McMillan. He put this together, and I loved it the first time I heard it. This also happened with Just Jane.
Yes.
Is this what you aim for in your songs, to grab your listeners right away?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I absolutely want, because I want them to hear not just the lyrics and the melody. I hope that when people hear Carlos Morgan, they hear a sincerity. They hear a depth. They hear someone not singing a song. That's one of the reasons why I love Stevie Wonder.
Hold that thought for a second, Carlos. I want to try something.
It was an average day.
See, I bring a smile to your face.
Yes.
Until the sun broke through. It wasn't in the sky, no. The light came from her eyes. She turned the gray sky blue. On that cool September morning, I saw her in the rain. To me, she was a movie star. To the world, she was just Jane. Yeah, but she's everything to me. She's just Jane.
Sorry about that, audience. But Carlos, can you tell us what space you were in spiritually when you first sang Just Jane?
When I first heard that song, I said, this song is a hit. And it touched me in such a way because, and the songwriters and the producers that wrote and produced the song, they didn't really have to give me a lot of direction on how to approach the song, because I grew up listening to singers that I loved, like Peabo Bryson, Glenn Jones, Lionel Richie, Billy, what's his name again? Billy Ocean, Michael Bolton. And when I listened to that song, I thought of those singers and how they would approach it. Jeffrey Osborne's another one. How they would approach this kind of that kind of genre of R&B, that mature male R&B, adult contemporary male R&B singer. And when I listen to their songs, there's a passion, there's an innocence, there's a depth, there's meaning. And I wanted to approach it from that. I was approaching the song that way because I was, in my way, wanting to show honor to them, but also to say, you know what? There are a lot of beautiful women in the world that may be overlooked. So when they hear me singing the song or they hear the words, that they feel like, wow, this kind of love or this kind of attraction or courting or courtship is still alive. It's, you know, there are still guys out here that have that are like that.
I'm going to ask you a favor.
Yes.
Can you sing something for us?
Okay. I'll try.
So
I got my guitar. Bang!
Wonderful.
So, okay, now, if I mess up, just pray for me, brothers and sisters. So, now, I don't know a lot of songs on the guitar.
Uh-huh.
I love playing, but I don't get a lot of opportunities to play. I'm going to start taking guitar lessons again for the 5th time. But I'm going to play the title track of Feeling Alright.
Wow, great.
So if you want to sing along, clap your hands, stomp your feet, and get busy. Yeah. Could you hear this?
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, sitting in my bedroom, and I'm thinking of the time you and I share. Yeah. I'm fantasizing of your love and your touch. Oh, girl, I love you so much. Yes, I do. You put a song in my heart, a smile on my face every time I'm with you, baby. Yes, you do, honey. Oh, I'm never gonna love nobody else. I wanna share my life with you. You're an angel from the heavens. You make my dreams come true. You are all my hopes, all my dreams. You give me strength to keep going on. Oh, feeling alright now. Everything I do, I'll do for you. I'm gonna love you my whole life long. Feeling alright, yeah. Ooh, baby, yeah. Can I hear you all there? I will never resist you, 'cause when you call for me, I'm gonna be there. So girl, just take me by the hand. Oh, whenever you need a shoulder to cry on, just know I'll be there. 'Cause I'm gonna be a man, yeah. Ooh, you're my sweet rose of Sharon, my sunny skies and my rainy days. Everything you do, girl, is so amazing. Oh, baby, I love your ways, yeah. You emanate so much beauty, beauty. Ooh. Your love is like a clarion, brilliantly, clearly true. You are all my hopes, you're all my dreams. You give me strength to keep going on, yeah. Feeling alright. Everything I do, I'll do it for you. I'm gonna love you feeling alright. One more time, yeah. You're all my hopes, all my dreams. You give me strength to keep going on. Yeah, feeling alright. Oh, everything I do, I'll do for you. I'm gonna love you my whole life long. Yeah, feeling alright.
Encore. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I love being silly.
I enjoy that.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite song?
Pardon me?
Do you have a favorite song?
Do I have a favorite song?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Superstar, well, Luther Vandross's version of Superstar is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Okay. Let me just go to the chat room for a quick second.
Okay.
Rick said, Selwyn, let him finish. Okay, Rick. You got it. CB said, CB said, excellent voice. Wow. Sandy said, wow, so amazing. Thank you, Carlos. June said, you're a deep person. I'm a music lover. Just got yourself a new fan. Karen G said, good range. Can hit the highs and lows. Your energy is infectious. And DSACCB said, clapping. Who pushes you when you don't feel like taking that next step or you feel burnt out? Who pushes you?
Who pushes me or what pushes me?
Who? Well, both. Who or what pushes you when you feel burnt out? You feel tired and you don't want to,
Well, I always go back to God.
God. I like that.
Always my Lord and Savior. He's number one. And I thank him every day for the gift of music and the gift of song. And I have some good friends. My best friend, Mary Infazino, she's been an incredible support system for me the past 2 or 3 years. I love her very much. She's a great friend, great, incredible person. So she's one. Think of my son. Friends like, there's Tracy Human, my former co-manager. She's been there for me. And some of my new friends that I've made along the way have been so supportive of me that keep believing me. People that send me messages and say, I love you and we support you and keep doing it and you're doing good and we love the music. I'm just so grateful to all the love and support that I get, because I know there's a lot of people there are a lot of haters out here and a lot of fake beep. I won't say it. But for those people who who encourage and support and show me love and kindness and who, buy my music or buy my song or send me messages, you included, Selwyn. Man, I got love for y'all, man. So thank you.
You're welcome. What is one performance that took even your breath away? One of your performances.
I can tell you something literally. When I was living in Montreal, Boxing Day 1990, I was performing on stage and my lung collapsed.
Oof.
And I ended up in a hospital in Montreal for 2 weeks because I was born with a hole in my lung and the hole grew and grew and grew. So one day, one performance, Boxing Day 1990, I'm performing Rub You the Right Way by Johnny Gill. And I was dancing, I was moving, and this excruciating pain hit me. I come to find out the next day, if it wasn't for the grace of God, I'd be dead today. My lung collapsed. While I was performing on stage, I passed out. They carried me off stage, took me to the hospital the same night. They wouldn't let me in because they said I didn't have a hospital card. I'm fresh out. And the next morning, I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So yeah, that performance literally took my breath away.
Let's take a quick break.
You got it, brother.
Was an average day, dull in every way until the sun broke through. It wasn't in the sky, no. The light came from her eyes. She turned the gray sky blue. On that cool September morning, I saw her in the rain. To me, she was a movie star to the world. She was just Jane, yeah, but she's everything to me. She's just Jane, yeah, and she's all I'll ever need. She gives more than she takes, and she takes my breath away. Oh yeah, in the world's eyes, she'll always be just Jane. But because of her, my world has changed. Yes, it has. I tried to catch her eye as she was walking by first. At first she seemed confused. I saw she wasn't sure. My smile was meant for her. I said, I can't help notice you. And when you find that someone special, you don't let them slip away. So tell me what your name is. She answered by saying just Jane. Oh, oh, oh. She's just Jane. Oh, oh, oh. And she's all I'll ever need. She gives more than she takes, and she takes my breath away. In the world's eyes, she'll always be just Jane. But because of her, my world has changed. Jane rare and precious is her love, and her love's just mine. Oh, she's just Jane, and she's all I'm sitting in my bedroom, thinking about the times that you and I shared, baby, yeah. I'm fantasizing of your love and your touch. Oh girl, I love you so much. Oh girl, yeah. Alright. You put a song in my heart, a smile on my face every time I'm with you. Baby, yes you do, honey. Oh yeah, I don't wanna love nobody else. I wanna share my life with you. You're an angel from the heavens. You make my dreams come true. Yes you are. All my dreams, you give me strength. I'm feeling alright. You make me feel so right, girl. Everything I do for you. I'm gonna love you my whole life long. My whole life long. I'm feeling alright, yeah. Feeling alright, yeah. Feeling alright. I can never resist you when you call for me. I want to be there, yeah. Oh, could you take me by the hand, baby? Whenever you need a shoulder to cry on, you better know I'll be there. 'Cause I'm gonna be your man. Yes, I am. You're my sweet rose of Sharon, my sunny skies and my rainy
we are back with a very talented Carlos Morgan. Carlos,
Yes.
what comes to
Yes.
mind? What comes to mind when you think of songs like "Something About You," "Fascinated" featuring Suge, and "Forever for You"?
Okay, something about you. When I wrote something about you, I was thinking about a situation that I think a lot of people I think mostly guys go through. I'm assuming mostly guys go through where they go to a club, they see someone that they've been attracted to, but they have a boyfriend or they're there with somebody they want to approach, but not necessarily approach to meet them, just to get to know them or go out with them, just someone they see someone they're attracted to and they like the way they move or like the way they dance. So when I think of something about you, fascinated, I wrote fascinated about a real situation I was in, and that's why the song kind of has a bit of a dark element. And Forever for You, I love that song. I love that version of it. And the reason why I love that version of it, because it's got somewhat of a classic, to me anyways, it got a classic soul vibe and groove and sound. And the lyrics are beautiful. I didn't write that song. A gentleman named Joey Miller wrote that song. I arranged it vocally, and again, did the backgrounds and leads on it. But great lyric, great vibe, great energy. Tyson wrote the music and produced the track. And it just got this cool, classic, soul, mature soul, stepping kind of vibe to it that I really enjoy. So when I think of something about you, I think of, being at a club and seeing a girl that I think is nice and attractive. I want to dance with her, fascinated. I think of a dark situation I was in with a former partner, and Forever for You, I think about cool, classic, mature, love, soul music.
Can you tell us what inspired romantic songs like "Sweet as You Are" and the one that I just played, Just Jane"?
Well, what inspired Sweet as You Are was when I was on tour, when I was touring Feeling Alright. I was in a relationship at the time, and the partner that I was with was very supportive, though I was away a lot because I was promoting my album and performing. And after a while, it got really hard on the relationship, me being away. So that's part of the reason why it didn't work out. So that's what inspired Sweet as You Are. And so I wrote the songs to say at the time, I'm thankful for your support. I know it's hard, but I still want to be here and try to be all that you want in a man and a partner. And I love you. And when I'm out here on the road traveling, there's no one else like you because I'm coming home to you. That's what inspired Sweet as You Are. Just Jane, again, was inspired by seeing a woman that you see every day who's just simple. She's not anything, she's conspicuous. She goes to work. She does her thing. So she's overlooked. But there is always someone that will see that person and say, you know what? She's a really special. She's special. She's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of her family. She goes to work. She raises her children, and so she's just doing her thing. But I see this woman who is just spectacular, and that's what inspired Just Jane.
Wow. In the chat room, G said, "Awesome. Have you ever considered trying out for shows such as The Voice here in America? Currently, Jamaican Tassan Shin is doing very well on The Voice."
Go on, Tasana, you that. If I could, I don't know if they allow. Actually, I was told Canadians can audition for The Voice. So if I get the chance to, or the opportunity to, oh, absolutely sure, I would go. I'd probably be too nervous to get on stage. I'd be probably shaking, but oh yeah, I would definitely take the opportunity to audition for The Voice, or even X Factor, any one of those shows. because for me, at the end of the day, it's not about winning the prize. It's just getting my name out there and people hearing and seeing, you know?
June said, considering your medical condition, your singing is a God-given gift. Continue to use it well. Much blessings.
Thank you, June. I appreciate that. Thank you.
What would you like to be remembered for, Carlos?
My smile.
Okay.
No, I'm being silly. I would like to be most remembered for my music, bringing my music, just it's as generic as it sounds, or simple as it sounds, my music just purveying and conveying love and bringing people together, and people feeling love when they hear my music, feeling happiness, or if they're going through a hard time, that my music will be something that they can listen to that will bring them through whatever difficulties they're going through. You know, when they hear my voice, or that's what I like to be remembered for. Just my music and love.
With all your accomplishments in music and so on, what still surprises you about yourself?
What surprises me about myself?
What still surprises you? Yes.
That what surprises me? That I could still perform. That I'm still doing this. It was not so much of a surprise, but then sometimes I am, because again, there are moments where I feel like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing, and why am I still doing this? And then when I get on stage, or I'm recording, or I'm writing a song, the answer comes. That's where, like, okay, thank you, Lord, thank you, Father, for, you know, letting me know why I'm still doing this. So it's in those moments of doubt where I'm that shock, or that surprise question or thought comes in, or feeling, you know, that, oh, okay, I'm still doing it, and I'm going to make it, or by the grace of God, I'm going to make it.
If you had the chance to go back in time, what would you tell that 12-year-old singer, or 12-year-old boy singing in church?
What would I? Man, you got some great questions, Brother Selwyn.
Thank you, sir.
What, man? There's so much I would say. Oh man, a lot of decisions a lot of the choices and decisions that I made, I would not have made. But then that's what life is about. We travel, and we're going to make mistakes and make some perpetual bad choices until we learn the lesson and get the answer or answers. But I would have said to him, I would have said to that 12-year-old boy, I would have said, I love you. And if no one else is going to love you and show you and tell you that you're loved, I'm going to do my best to do that, and know that and believe that God loves you first, and through God loving you first, you can learn to love yourself, because the scripture says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So that is the first thing I would tell the 12-year-old boy, Carlos. I would say, I love you, God loves you, and we're gonna make it. No matter what comes, we're going to make it.
If you were exiled to a deserted island and could only take 4 albums with you, what 4 albums would you choose?
I would take Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
Thriller, so I could practice my Michael Jackson moves.
Yes.
Hee hee. So Stevie for songwriting and practicing my vocals. Michael for my dancing moves, because I still love Michael Jackson. I would take a gospel album.
Yes.
And I would take a classical album. So when I'm reading and relaxing, or thinking, praying, I don't know what classical album that would be, but I would take something by a classical artist, Bach, Beethoven, one of them. Those would be, I think, the 4 albums I would take. So Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, gospel album, I don't know what, because there's so many great ones. I don't really have a favorite. I'd take gospel album by J Moss.
J Moss.
J Moss, because I love him. Lord have mercy. And a classical album, yeah. So those 4.
What should we be expecting from Carlos Morgan?
Expecting more great music. I'm working on a number of different projects right now. I'm trying to put a tour together between February and March, and I'm just going to give a little bit of a detail of what the concept of this tour is. The concept of the tour is I want to go across the country and perform with other R&B soul artists. Mm-hmm. So to feature them in their city to bring myself or my music to their city and then perform together. So I'm calling the tour the Compilation Soul Solidarity Tour, and I'm in the works of putting it together for February and March. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. I want to start performance workshops or performance seminars for upcoming singers, because there's a lot of great talent in this country, and especially in R&B and soul, and because the genre of music is so overlooked. In my opinion, black music in this country is overlooked. So I would like to start working with young up-and-coming singers and doing seminars and different things like that. So there's a lot of different things. And a new album scheduled for June or July. Either June or September. And that album is going to be called Shades of Me.
Shades of Me. Talking about that, how would you describe the black community influence in making or breaking a black musician in Canada?
Well, unfortunately, when it comes to any form of black music, not so much hip hop, because from Maestro Fresh West to Cardinal Official, Socrates, and Drake, Canadian hip hop has made a lot of positive strides. R&B did, not as far as hip hop, when you have artists like Deborah Cox, Glenn Lewis, Tamia, Melanie Fiona, Divine Brown, Simone Denny, to name a few. But the music community in Canada, especially in black music, in my opinion, we are not unified. We do not have a community here. We do not get support from the quote-unquote wider demographic or the wider music industry. They do not support, be it, we have one radio station. We started out with one back in 2001, and then by 2004, the format had changed. Now we have one in Toronto, G98.7. Big up to them. They're supporting Canadian music, but on a much bigger scale, it's a shame here. And what I believe, what makes it more of a shame, is that we as a community do not support, and we do not unify. We do not pull our resources together. I find there's a lot of favoritism, a lot of politics, a lot of cliques here, and I don't play into it because if you don't have this or don't do that or don't look this way or do this, that, the other, and there's a lot of backbiting, a lot of backstabbing here, and a lot of petty jealousy and the crab bucket mentality. Like if you're hearing me speak right now with a little bit of upset or anger, is because that's how I feel. Mm-hmm. How we do not support each other. Unlike the U.S., there is the black music market in the U.S. is phenomenal. Now, Canada is a much smaller market. Yes, that's true. We're a much smaller market, but we do have the American influence, and we can use the American influence to create for ourselves as Canadians, but we don't do that. And then then we get comments, well, you should have been doing this and you should be doing that. You should be doing this. Well, okay, well, I agree with you. We should be doing it. But why can't we pool together and do it together? So if I'm trying to make something, why are you trying to pull me back and dog me out? Why am I doing that to you? That doesn't make sense to me. So in terms of making it in Canada, because that was one of my mandates for staying in Canada. When I released Feeling All Right, I said one of my mandates for staying in Canada is to prove that Canada has talent for R&B, soul, urban music, that it could be done in Canada and it could become successful in Canada, done in Canada. But the powers that be and the ignorant crab bucket mentality of the music community and the black community that does not necessarily support its own, that's why a lot of people leave. Deborah Cox left, Glenn Lewis left, Divine Brown, Julie Black is another one. Julie Black, phenomenal Canadian singer. Mm-hmm. She's won awards. She wrote songs for Destiny's Child. She's worked with big major American record labels, but I believe she decided she wanted to stay in Canada. But she's not getting the love that she would be getting if she was in the States. She's just as good as Mary J. Blige, in my opinion, vocally and as a performer. She's just as good as her, but she's not getting the break because she's in Canada. And my opinion is because she's gotten some love. And another thing I find that Canadians do, especially in the major music industry or the industry of the business here, is when it comes to black music, they pacify us, they appease us. They'd be like, okay, we'll give you a record deal, but we'll pass you off to one of our little subsidiary labels that can't really make anything. And then if they do give you a major record label deal, they'll say, okay, well, we'll release a single or two, and we'll give you a little bit of petty marketing and promotion, and then, okay, and then we're supposed to be satisfied with that. But yet, when it comes to the rock artists or their country artists, they're getting all the love. I'm like, so wait a second. There's a market here for this genre of music. Show us some love here. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was signed to my record label and Universal Music signed me to their record label as a licensed artist, the vice president at the time, his name was Randy Lennox. His name is Randy Lennox. He was vice president of Universal Music at the time. And he said to me and the record producers, he said that one of the reasons why he signed us is because he doesn't see the political backbiting in our camp that he sees in other camps. It wasn't just about the music while we got signed. He didn't see the backbiting and the infighting that he sees with other artists in R&B or in urban music in this country. And that for me said a lot, because a vice president of a record label, white man, saying that to me, and my producers who saying, well, the music's good, but we like the disposition that you guys have. that spoke volumes to me, because here is somebody who's actually seeing what I'm seeing, but that he's not necessarily inside to see what really goes on. So, because I'll go to gigs, I'll see it amongst other musicians, amongst other singers. People still today, sometimes I walk in somewhere and people are like, oh yeah, Carlos Morgan. I'm like, you're pushing your chest out at me and you haven't even scratched the surface of what I've done, and you're going to give me an attitude, and I'm here trying to show you love? Okay, cool. Then I'll just stay in my little corner and leave you alone because you're all that. And that's how it is here.
Wow.
It's like that.
That's
how it is.
I want to go to the chat room. Time is upon us again. Time just flies on this show. It's the strangest thing. Hour and a half just goes like that when we're having fun. June, Patrick said, Carlos, your passion for music really comes through. I'd be surprised if you weren't singing. And then Patrick said again, what quality would you most like to impart to your children?
I'm sorry, ask the question again, please.
What quality would you most like to impart to your children, or your child or children?
Oh, well, quality I love to impart to my children are respect, manners, humility, fairness, understanding and compassion, education.
Yeah.
Education.
And Joan said that 12-year-old boy should be proud of who he turned out to be. Great interview, loved it.
Thank you.
June said great sense of humor. DSACCB said no reggae. Sel, maybe you should have given him 5 choices.
Me, I give him reggae music, yeah, man.
So give us a reggae album then.
Oh, man, I want to listen on this album, Shades of Me. I'm going to record a reggae song because I want to show the different genres of music that I love, and definitely reggae is up there.
But so, Carlos, if you were on the island,
yes,
going back to that old question, and you had 5 choices, well, you give us 4. The keys.
Well, definitely reggae
right.
is on the list.
Okay.
And I'd bring which reggae. Okay, I'm still. Bob. Okay, everybody loves Bob. Everybody loves Bob. But my album, I would bring Exodus.
Okay, all right. I hear that.
Exodus would be on the album.
And
Exodus would be on the island. I would have that album.
I like that.
On the island.
I like that. Patrick said you talked about your father earlier. What does the song "Dance with My Father Again" by Luther Vandross do for you?
Man, when Luther Vandross died, I did a tribute concert to Luther, and I sang that song, and my father was in the audience, and he started crying.
Wow.
And yeah, love you, Luther. Rest in peace, brother.
2 things. Sorry.
Yeah, that song, that whole album, beautiful.
The last question. A question I ask all my guests.
Yes.
But before I do that, let me go to the chat room. I say Dorothy just posted the question. Are you going to produce for other artists? Just let me finish. She hasn't finished yet. Influence a younger generation of singers, musicians. Also, how many instruments do you play?
Well, I play drums. I attempt to play guitar.
Right.
But my first instrument is voice. It's right here. But I love playing guitar. Again, as I said earlier, I'll be resuming guitar lessons again for the 5th time. And I love playing drums. But again, because I'm not a strong instrumentalist, I use my voice as an instrument as best as I can, as much as I can and as best as I can. And as far as producing young and up-and-coming artists, I would love to produce. I love to write. I don't want to produce for. I want to produce with, because I want to be a teacher. I want to teach young up-and-comers I want to write with them and produce with them so they can learn for themselves. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't want to produce for, because that's something that I want to do. I want to build a record label where I could hire students and teach them about the music business while they're going to school. So if they want to learn about the music business, they could learn. So we're going to write together. So I don't want to say, okay, I'm going to produce a song for you. Okay, let's produce the song together, because tell me what you want, because I don't want to be like, well, this is what I hear you as. I want that artist to put some of who they are into what they're doing, so and they can go further with that. You know what I mean?
Carlos.
Yes.
Finally, the question I ask all my guests.
Yes.
What makes you laugh out loud?
What makes me laugh? Man. You really want to know?
Yes, Carlos, tell us.
Well, I love being silly. I love cracking jokes, making faces. Music makes me laugh. Like if I hear something, like somebody somebody sings this crazy run or a crazy lick, I'll either laugh, I'll be like, yeah, nice, yeah. Or dancing, when I see people dancing and they do something, like, oh my God, it just makes me laugh. But I love being silly and having fun. I can be serious. I'm very intense, but I also love to laugh and be silly. That's what makes me laugh, being silly.
Carlos,
making faces.
I want to thank you.
That's my thriller face. That's my Michael Jackson thriller face.
I want to thank you for coming on. Carlos, can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming
on. Thank you so much for the love, man. I love you, man.
I love you too, my brother. I really enjoyed this conversation. Before we go, there are like 3 things that came on, 3 comments in the chat room. The SACCB said, unless I missed it, what then is the popular musical genre in Canada? And the SACCB said, thanks, Patrick.
I'm sorry, what was
what then is the popular musical genre in Canada?
Oh, I think the most popular music in Canada would be, I think, rock.
Rock. Okay.
Rock. You know, rock.
Okay.
Rock, then country. Because when you watch the Juno Awards, I don't know if the Juno Awards are shown in America, but if you live in Canada and you watch the Juno Awards, you will see what genre of music gets televised, gets publicity. You'll see for yourself, and you know what I'm saying.
And Dorothy said, "Laugh out loud is cute." CB said, "Great conversation." Mary said, "Thanks, Selwyn. Amazing interview. You got a great glimpse of Carlos." Carlos, I'm going to ask you something different here tonight.
Okay.
Can you take us out with a song?
Okay. Well,
another one. Give us another one.
You want another one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I wrote a song with 2 guys. That's going to be coming out on an album. I already have my 4th album in mind, what I'm going to do, what it's called. It's going to be called Where I've Been, Where I'm Going. And there's a song that I did I wrote called Break My Heart, and it features the vocals of Billie Holiday. And I'm going to play it. Okay, it's called Break My Heart. So I'm going to play a verse and a chorus of it. And I want to dedicate this song to all the lovers in the house.
I'm sure they will love it.
Okay, here goes. And Selwyn, thank you so much, bro.
You're welcome, my brother.
Why did you leave me? you deceived. Can't believe you broke my heart in two. With every beat of my heart, you tore me apart. Broke my heart in two. You played with all my emotions. Took my love and devotion from you. Now life is filled with riddles and rhymes. But as I remember our love affair, I go out of mind. Painful memories of you and me, and you're leaving me blue. So haunts my soul and my heart. I could feel you. You break my heart in two now. Why did you leave me? My soul you've deceived. Can't believe you broke my heart in two. Yeah, with every beat of my heart, you tore me apart. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You played with all my emotions. You took my love and devotion from you. Yeah, why did you leave me? Why did you go? Why did you leave me? So I wanna thank everybody for coming on. Thank everyone for coming on and talking with me and Selwyn. Conversations with Selwyn, yeah. I hope you all had a good time. Thank you. Said I love you. I really love you. I love all of y'all. So why did you leave me? My soul you've deceived. Can't believe you broke my heart in two.
My brother, you nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Patrick said new theme song for CWS.
Patrick said what?
New theme song for CWS.
Yes.
So you got your work cut out for you. Hey man, look, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, so God bless you, brother, and success to you. And thank you for the support. Thank you for the love, man. I'm so grateful. Thank you, and thanks to everyone thanks for the comments and the questions and the love and the support. Please continue to support my music. You can find my music on iTunes. Support my videos, my music. I love y'all, and I hope to come to a city near you guys and perform. And we perform together and show love together. Yes.
You're welcome, man. Joanne said, so much love going around. Thank you. And I'm going to close the show with your song, Sweet As You Are.
Oh, yeah.
It's so special. I know I've been heaven blessed. You're my angel from above. And I live for your love. I can
Stay on for another minute, Carlos. Stay on for another minute.
And whatever that you need, you can ask of me. I will try. I'm gonna give you all that's in my life. I'll wipe away the tears from your eyes. You're forever in my heart. So please stay sweet as you are. Baby, it hurts me
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tomorrow, Dr. Don Elder, internist and oncologist. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Brother Selwyn. Thank you, bro.
Good night.
Good night.
I believe, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're going through. Afraid to love. Well, I've been there too. It's so bad to feel there's no way out. I need someone I can't do without. Only a fool, oh baby, believing forever, and I do. Forever with you, I'm here when you need me. Here when you call, waiting is all I will do. Every time you say you need me, and anytime we say goodbye, I'm holding on to yesterday. I know it makes me stronger now than I was before. I can't make it through if you won't off the door. Only a fool, oh yeah, believes in forever, and I do. Forever with you, I'm here when you need me. Here when you call, waiting is all I will do. I'm begging you to hold on, I do. I'm begging you, baby, won't you stay? I'm here, I'm right here. I'm begging you, don't leave. Waiting is all I will do. Never go away. I need you now. I need you now. Oh, believes in forever, and I do. Forever with you. I'm here when you need me. Here when you call. Waiting is all I will do. Only a fool. Oh, believes in forever, and I do. Forever with you, I'm here when you need me. Here when you call, waiting is all I will do. That's what I do. Yeah, oh, yeah. I'm here, ooh, yeah, my. Yeah, oh, yeah. Open up your heart to me. I believe in forever, and I do. Oh, I do. Yeah. Forever with you, I'm here when you need me. Here when you call, waiting is all I will do. That's all I'm gonna do. Ooh, believe it forever. All I'm gonna do. Forever with you, I'm here. I'll be right here when you call my name. It's all I will do.
Baby, I'm not gonna wait no more. You know that I love you, so this is what I gotta say. I've been really trying for so long. And if you feel like I feel, come on, come on, come on, come on. Hey, let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let's get it on.